Fellas, there is an interesting report floating around here saying that no matter who wins the championship at All In, Tony Khan has already decided his next AEW champion. Brian, if you had the book right now, who would be the AEW champion after Swerve Strickland? Just let me know what you think, and then I'll let y'all know what this report is.
If I had the book right now, Hangman Page 100% should be the champion after Swerve Strickland. I mean, if Bryan Danielson loses, of course. If Bryan Danielson wins, then cool. But if this Bryan Danielson thing wasn't a feud right now, 100%, 100% that for sure. I would go with Hangman.
No, you know what? I absolutely agree with you. Based on the feud that's going on between these two right now, I think it'd even be cool if these two kind of passed it back and forth to each other for a while. So I like that. Kiddo Valentine, you got the book. You are Tony Khan's right-hand man. And he says, Kiddo, who is our next champion? Who do you write down in that book?
Well, I write the same name, Hangman Page, because he's not gonna get this momentum again. He has a story, he has everything. I think it's the right time for Hangman. You got to try with him one more time. I think it's gonna be like his second run with the championship. Last one wasn't so overwhelming, wasn't too much. Besides the CM Punk stuff, I don't even know.
Wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, true. So yeah, this is it, man. You gotta give him the belt, let him run with it, and him losing to the person we're about to mention, though. I don't know,
they're not supposed to know yet. You just blew it.
No, what, really? Oh, well.
But yes, I agree with y'all. It should absolutely be Swerve Strickland. But we just read this report that's saying Tony Khan has the next name penciled in as Darby Allin. Do y'all think Darby Allin could actually pull off a successful AEW championship run? Kiddo, let's start with you this time.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's where I was getting at. Like, Darby Allin, I can see him as a champion, like sort of how Rey Mysterio became champion. So he'll become the champion, hold it for a short little while, maybe even just a month, and then lose it quickly in a very, dirty way, like some heel does, like something super messed up, and that's how he loses it, so that he doesn't look weak at all. That's what I'm seeing in his future, regardless, of who he takes the title from. But again, can he take it from someone like Hangman? Is it believable? I guess if you book it well, you could make it believable with anything. But yeah, right now, like looking at the landscape, it's tough for me to see. Maybe, actually, Bryan Danielson is about to retire, regardless if he wins the title or not. So maybe that'll be like Darby will be his last match for real. And he'll go out on his back, putting a younger talent over. I can see Bryan doing that.
You know what? I can actually see Bryan doing that as well. And you know what? I wouldn't want to see Darby win it and lose it like a month later. I'd say let him have a run. He's one of the pillars of AEW. No, he is a smaller guy. He's like a crash out wrestler doing all of this crazy stuff. But I think, like you mentioned, the Rey Mysterio, he would be a good champion actually fighting from the bottom, like the scrappy guy who just barely gets the win, barely gets through these matches, gets beat up the whole time, and somehow pulls it off. I think he would be like a babyface a lot of kids would actually get behind, because we already see a lot of kids in the crowd with the Darby Allin face paint and stuff on. So while he is a smaller guy, I think in AEW, he could actually work as a champion. And while I think Hangman should be the next guy, taking this break, because let's get it on a new guy. So I'm actually not mad at this. Brian, what do you think?
Hey, brother. Yeah, I thought the ratings was low during Samoa Joe, dog. Listen, bro, I'm going to be honest. Darby Allin, hell of a wrestler, hell of a stunt man. Love to watch Darby Allin because I know that every single one of his matches, I'm going to see something ridiculous. But when it comes down to being the guy, he is not the guy. And I just think that it ain't going to go well, man. That's just my 2 cents, bro. You know what I'm saying? He could go out there and prove me wrong. I'm not rooting for the guy to fail. He's just not that guy to me. He just seems like a guy that's out there doing crazy moves, doing things like that. He's a good wrestler, don't get me wrong. I just don't believe him as AEW champion, and that's just what it is. And I don't mean that with no hate in my heart, bro. I like Darby Allin. I know I'll be up here representing the good company back there, you know what I'm saying? But listen, I just don't see Darby Allin as the guy, bro.
All right, but I want you to tell me why.
Exactly.
Like, what do you see in Darby Allin? What makes him...
Bro, he just like, bro,
too small?
The guy is like 5'7", dog. We want to talk about Ricky Starks being short, bro. Darby Allin is like 5'7", bro. Like, what are we doing with him as champion, bro? Like, that's just all it is for me.
You can be either really small or you can be really big. But when you're in between, I think that's kind of like the dangerous area. Darby Allin is a smaller guy. So being that he is so small, I think that can actually help push him. Where if you look at a bigger guy like Wardlow, that could help push him. But Ricky Starks, him being in the middle, it kind of, you're going to get lost there. So I think that's why I see more in Darby Allin than I see in Ricky Starks. But I mean, what can he do? Darby Allin, he cuts a pretty good, dark, methodical promo, just like The Undertaker does. We see him get through his career in that. He goes in there, he has these believable matches. Everybody's going crazy because he's doing crazy stuff. Is that a sustainable style that you can do for a long time? No, but for right now, for the short term as a champion, I think it'll be fine. I mean, what else are you looking at? He can sell merch with the masks, face paint, all of that stuff. So I think he's a good champion for the company.
I'd still say short term though, because and if this is going to happen, by the way, it should happen in like the next 2-3 years, because Darby Allin, with the stuff he's doing, you never know when it's gonna be.
Make
his
sure
last
the
match.
strap is not on him when the Mount Everest climbing time comes.
Yeah.
Yeah, dog, don't do that.
So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, man. Like we gave an example of Rey Mysterio, and to be honest with you, even though I like Rey Mysterio, it was okay for WWE to take the title off of him quickly. Now, what they did with John Cena was kind of messed up. So yeah, sure, have Darby Allin carry the title a little bit more, especially because let's be real. Rey Mysterio was never really great on the microphone. He would just deliver his lines and get out there.
Right.
Darby Allin surprises me sometimes with how much emotion, how much realness he puts behind his words. And you can cut a promo, man. He can do some memorable stuff both in and out of the ring. So I wouldn't hate to see it, to be honest with you, but you have to be, because of the reason that Brian presented, you have to be really good at it, hiding his weaknesses as much as possible. And again, you cannot make this last long because, to a normal viewer, no matter how much, they might be inclined to like wrestling, they open up the television and then they see Darby Allin, that small guy. Now he makes it work, but again, I don't know. This world champion is crazy to me too.
Yeah, it is crazy. I thought he was never going to get it. I thought that TNT championship level was his ceiling. But as mentioned, if Bryan Danielson beats Swerve Strickland and he walks out there as the champion, I think that'll add so much to Darby Allin if he has this final feud with Bryan Danielson and gets in that match and those two just scrap and he just pulls it out.
Whoa.
I think it'll I think it'll turn Darby Allin into a superstar, and that would legitimize him as a AEW champion, and they can actually make it work.
I think what I would love is for AEW to actually do a good story then, with the beginning, make it make sense why Darby Allin's going for Daniel Bryan, not just make it 1 week, suddenly we're having this match.
Oh yeah, no.
Make that, and I guess the way you could lose it is he could beat a couple of opponents, and then you put out a Wardlow type guy in front of him, and he really tries to do everything that he does, and even at one point you think he's gonna beat that huge monster, but no, the size difference is what ends his reign. I think that could be a nice way to do this.
Right, and it's got to be a story before it. Even if Bryan Danielson has to go heel on the way out, wait a minute, you're the final guy I'm fighting against. I'm going to retire with this belt. You can't do it, Darby. You can't do it. Everybody's going up to Darby listen, Bryan Danielson is going to hurt you out there. You can't do it. I mean, look at Bryan. He was a smaller guy. Vince McMahon said he is not our guy, and people forced him on him. So you know what? With Darby Allin being a smaller guy, I think it all just makes sense. You know what? Bryan Danielson overcame it. What better way for Darby Allin to overcome this than to being Bryan Danielson, who was another guy who overcame the odds? I think it'd be a beautiful picture, man.
100%.